I'm Zach. Welcome back to Bipolar Book Club, studying, analyzing, gushing over The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Holy fuck.
Didn't anybody tell you? Didn't anybody tell you how to gracefully disappear in a room?
This book's amazing. Fuck yeah, I love this book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. In video one, we went over my analysis of what I call the fashion victim, the world of hieroglyphics, and how that objectified universe objectifies everything within it, including the people who populate it, and how we're all victims of some sort of violent faux pas and delusions of grandeur. I spent a little bit of time simping for May Welland, and I'm gonna continue to do that today. What I want to do in this video, by the way, last video I said there'd be 2 videos. There's at least going to be 3, because I want to dedicate a whole video to the dynamics of the love triangle itself, to May Welland, Ellen Olenska, and Newland Archer, and what each of them represent, and what makes it the most perfect love triangle I've ever read about. Okay? What makes it so intoxicating to imagine yourself like within? What makes this love triangle so fucking intoxicating? Well, firstly, it is that world of hieroglyphics that we spent the entire first video talking about, analyzing, and deconstructing. There's something beautiful about, and tragic, obviously, about true passion being cultivated within such an insincere and contrived universe like the Gilded Age, high society, old New York. There's something so beautifully tragic about seeing the real thing, real emotion being stamped out like the embers from all the fucking chimneys that they spend so much time around, scared to death of intimacy. And obviously, when we get someone who I call the pharaoh of the hieroglyphics, the pharaoh of their hieroglyphic universe, like May Welland, being almost compulsively forced into a antagonistic role within this triangle, we open up, to me, a universe of philosophical meanings, political meanings, and certainly romantic and erotic ones. The meaning that I find in this book is overwhelming. So let's spend a little bit of time today talking about the love triangle. Well, first of all, why do we love love triangles? We love choice. We love weighing our options. We love to, at least me, okay, I love imagining that I'm Newland Archer and I have to choose, oh, mercy me, I have to choose between 2 beautiful young women who each have their own virtues and idiosyncrasies. Maybe they can also pronounce idiosyncrasies as well. First try. One of them can. I'm sure it's one of them. I'm going to leave that in there. I don't give a fuck. We like the idea of choice. Because you live in a universe where the idea of free will is romantic in manifest, because most of our universe is dominated either by corporate or social infrastructure, a spectacle that seems to determine all of our moves. We live in a kind of predeterministic universe. Even if free will is real, the freedom of choice is often hoarded away from us by unseen forces, or by megastructures that are way too complex for any of us to truly fathom or understand or comprehend. So we love the idea of choice, especially where it matters most. And where it matters most for all of us is in our romantic lives, is what we fantasize over, what we fantasize about for so long. We want to have romantic choice, and we want to have that kind of intensely engaging romantic choice, like high stakes romance. That's kind of what we all want a little bit in our lives. So we love a good triangle, because honestly, in a great triangle, the 2 options should be diametrically opposed, like hyper literally diametrically opposed, as if it were a triangle and they were opposing opposing forces, opposing ends of the same shape. They should kind of stand for different things and provide assurances in different ways, and certainly act as my smoke alarm went off. Bros, I almost burned down my fucking house. Okay. I don't know if you heard the smoke alarm going off, but it was it wasn't a drill. Okay, hold on. Okay, both women in this love triangle, or both options within this love triangle that you would choose between, not only from the main character's perspective, but as a reader, if you're inhabiting the main character's POV, they should also provide gateways to worlds. But those gateways into those worlds should be like one way. Like once you choose one, you can't go back to the other. Like that's the idea of the triangle, right? And so, therefore, the love triangle isn't just about love. It's about social distinction, social expectation. It's about, even huge ideas in life or huge paths to walk in life. They represent a lot, but they should be almost entirely opposed, yet similar in the ways that are romantically eerie. Like that's how a perfect triangle goes. And this is a perfect triangle. Maybe the blueprint of the perfect triangle, to be perfectly honest with you. Ellen Olenska, the Countess, is at one end of this triangle. And Edith Wharton paints her in all of the sensibilities and dimensions of the dynamic. Okay. She's constantly in red. She's always moving like a meteor upon the snow. She's constantly in motion, unpredictable in the best and most feminine ways. She captures Newland's heart because there's something liberating about her mere presence. The graze of her fan against his leg sends him into momentary ecstasy that he can never forget, that's with him forever. Ellen Olenska is dynamic becoming. And on the other end, we have May Welland, static being. Edith Wharton, if she paints her characters in very deliberate ways that really lets you know everything you need to know about them, like with Ellen Olenska, it's dynamic, it's red, it's blurry, it's in motion, it's difficult to focus because she's always moving, she's dynamic. With May, Wharton uses symbolism of purity, but not just symbolism of purity when building May's characterization, her physical poetry. The physical poetry of May Welland is also built around static things in painterly dimensions, but as the painting. She's often described in a mode of beautiful architecture, but as the structure. She's often described as marble, as white marble. She is static. So here we have static being versus dynamic becoming. Static being represented by May, and dynamic becoming represented by Countess Ellen Olenska. Now, obviously, the dynamic becoming can represent liberation from a confined, contrived, and hieroglyphic universe, whereas static being represents the security of that contrived, of that fake, of that hieroglyphic universe. And also the beauty of it, because marble is beautiful, paintings are beautiful, architecture is beautiful, and May Welland is beautiful. There's a beauty in that sort of fascist undercurrent that exists within high capital S society. Not only that, but static being, May uses her innocence as a social weapon. Everything about her has been weaponized, especially in this triangle. She manipulates social circumstances so that Newland and Ellen have difficulty being alone together. She wields social expectations as if it were a blade. She has a sweetness that could bite steel. May has a sweetness that could bite steel. So the triangle's so interesting because when it's initially formed, you're like, oh man, Ellen, this dynamic becoming is so much more experienced. Therefore, it's kind of overpowered. You know, how is this sweet, innocent babe like fucking May Welland gonna ever compete with that? Oh, buddy, no. that's not even fucking right. That's not even accurate. Because we learned pretty quickly that May should never be underestimated, especially on the battlefield of society. I struggle to call what May does in the Age of Innocence villainy, but her sweetness starts to appear increasingly more performative over the course of the novel. She, the innocence, her weaponized innocence thing is so amazing to me. I love it so much. It really gives Blair Waldorf. It's so beautiful. But when she's like, she'll often do or say something and then be oblivious as to its extreme social effect, but she knows exactly what she's doing. Right? And dude, it's hard for me to call her a villain because she believes so entirely in her universe, in this universe that her cousin and her fiance are disrupting and challenging. That's her entire worldview. If they win, then May will be pulverized. All right? Not just socially, not just within her social circle, but existentially, she'll be full of dread and existential nausea. She can't let them win. And you know what? Maybe dynamic becoming isn't strong enough to win. Maybe those are manic whims, you know? Maybe that's the truth of the matter. The Age of Innocence is a truly complex and sophisticated work where the more that I sit with it and the more that I reread it, because now I'm reading it again to make these videos, studying it and analyzing it with you, more and more I am in love with May. And that feels like a betrayal of every nonconformist part of my body, which is every fiber of my being. I feel like I'm betraying everything about myself. But I find something just so beautiful about May Welland. I really do. And this triangle is perfect because, like, it is static being versus dynamic becoming. And from those two kind of symbolic virtues, you can use a world of metaphors between them. Okay? You have a world of meaning between those two poles. Then, of course, Archer in the center, perhaps reflective of innocence itself. Well, I also think the Age of Innocence as a title is ironic too. It's meant to be ironic because this was a deeply weaponized period, but the weapons were all used socially in drawing rooms and at dining halls and in opera houses. But there was still warfare going on, but it was social warfare, not at all truly innocent. In fact, the most perverse things hide behind a veil of perceived innocence, which, sure, we can say that May is certainly reflective of. That's fine. I still love her. I still think she's great. You don't blame a lion for being hungry, right? That's what a lion is. But Newland Archer can represent, I think he represents innocence, and innocence defined by choice, and having true choice prohibited from him. He cannot experience true choice within this triangle because of May, who is representative of society as a whole, of the hieroglyphic universe in its totality at its maximum virtue. Newland cannot experience a true choice within this triangle. And that's deeply representative of our ultra modern world, where it feels like we have less and less true choice. We experience fewer and fewer true choices as our world becomes more and more modern and feels like it's more and more detached and passionless. I think we can all relate to that. So every triangle, in a sense, has been predetermined, but you can't refuse dynamism when it asks you to chase her in the snow while it's wearing a bright red cloak and laughing. You can't. You can't refuse the opportunity to live even briefly in a little snow chase with a beautiful woman. You can't reject the opportunity to live. Not at least once, one time. What's perfect about love triangles is that it's not just about which one's hotter, which one offers more financial security, which one offers more social esteem, which one will impress the world more? Which one will I learn more from? It's all of those things, but also 10,000 other things, because we're all stuck in triangles, but they're not all romantic triangles. We've been stuck at crossroads, right? We've been stuck at triangles of, do I go for my passions or for my career? Especially for those who can't make their passion their career. Like, we're stuck within that triangle between those two things that both have good arguments for our time, for our devotion. We are often stuck in triangles when it comes to, for me, like sobriety, to drink or not to drink. That is the question. We're in triangles politically almost all the time. There are more virtuous options that are scary because they can be unpredictable. And then you have the more predictable option, which can feel heartless because it has less heart necessarily. So we're at triangles all the time, but it's only in something like the Age of Innocence where the triangle here seems reflective of all the other triangles, because society, that's such a huge thing, and that's what May represents. And then liberation, freedom, that's what Ellen Olenska represents. And then Newland represents choice, innocent choice. And the symbolism there is just so powerful without being loud, that I could get lost in that shit for a millennia. And I feel like I am lost in that shit just in my personal life, choosing between dynamic becoming, static being, freedom or society, anarchy or civilization. It's all of it. It's all of it. Like, that's why this triangle works so well. I think that's why this book has continued to endure. Right? That's why people continue to read this book, because it's not just a love triangle. The love triangle is simply everything. Simply what? Everything. How? It's simply everything. That's what's beautiful about this. And of course, Wharton's prose is extraordinary throughout. Some of the most romantic things I've ever read in this book. To be around these characters is such an immense privilege. Such a fabulous privilege to be around May and Ellen and Newland. It's such a privilege. It's such a treat. It's such a prize. It's such a gift. It's such a brilliant and perfect, masterful book. And yeah, this video is dedicated to the triangle. Because I think that it's easy for us not to pay closer attention to the triangle, because it's not just, okay, May represents society, Ellen represents freedom, Newland represents choice, and like the restrictions or prohibitions, the heartbreak made on choice, or that choice has to live with throughout the course of the novel for the rest of Choice's life, right? It's not just that, but it's how those things interact with each other, obviously. It's how choice interacts with society, how choice interacts with freedom, how freedom interacts with society, how society interacts with freedom, and how freedom and society both interact with choice. It's about how all these different things interact with each other, and the chemistry, the undeniable chemistry that choice and freedom share. Romantic, erotic, undeniable. And then you get the chemistry between the state or society and choice. And it's there still, but it's there in a different way. It's there in a weaponized way. It's there in a way where punishment is lingering, but punishment in the form of sincerity and sweetness, a sweetness that could bite steel. Like, the complexity of this triangle is enormous. It's mammoth. It's fucking dazzling. Love this book. In the next video, I'll try to wrap up all my thoughts coherently. And obviously, I'm going to say a lot of other things I didn't say in these first two videos. There's so much to like explore and study and analyze in this book. There really is. Like, I'm fucking obsessed with it. It's fucking beautiful. It's so amazing. It's a masterpiece. Hell yeah. I think it's one of the greatest of the great American novels, without a doubt. Mwah. You see, even when I kissed the book just then, I couldn't pick one. I kissed right there in the center, right there. I can't pick. But there's something that frightens me. Because like, I've experienced liberation. I've experienced the dynamic becoming, and I've been crushed and hurt by it. I haven't experienced the sweetness that could bite steel. I haven't experienced weaponized sincerity, weaponized innocence. I have not experienced the security found in um, the hieroglyphic universe. I have not experienced that. So I think that if I were to find myself in a romantic triangle similar to this one right now, I would choose May Welland just about every single time and have a lot less regrets. And that's what's scary. Obviously, it's conformity, nonconformity, the individual, and how the individual interacts with conformity and nonconformity, how nonconformity interacts with conformity, and how all those things interact together, all of the different dynamics and lines throughout. And yeah, I feel romanced by conformity in this book. I see so much poetry in May. And like I totally vibe with the marble descriptions of her beauty. And I long for that. I long for the stillness of beauty. I long for a beautiful stillness more than I long for a beautiful comet. And that's something I'm going to have to face and understand uh, in a way that's clear, because it's taken this book to show me that. And I have to understand. I have to understand the virtues within that more entirely. And that's something I have to work on. And it takes great literature. It takes beautiful books like The Age of Innocence to open your eyes to a desire that you didn't know that you possessed. And then whether or not that desire should be exorcised from you or should be nurtured, fed like a fire in a chimney. Fuck, man. Hell yeah. Loved this book. I guess I'll see you next time for part 3 of my Age of Innocence video series. I hope you've been enjoying what I've had to say about this book. I know it can seem a bit wild, a bit animated, but I'm entirely authentic here. I'm in love with this book. I'm absolutely in love with it. Bye for now.